You've always heard fruit is anti-inflammatory, good for your joints, gentle on your heart. But what if some fruits, even the ones labeled healthy, are quietly keeping you swollen, stiff, or foggy? After 60, your body speaks differently, and not all fruits are still listening. Let's take a gentle but honest look at the fruits that help you move again, and the ones quietly holding you back. After 60, inflammation doesn't always roar. It doesn't come with swelling or fevers. Sometimes it whispers, a stiffness when you stand, a fog after lunch, a quiet ache in your fingers at night. That's inflammation now, soft, slow, and chronic. And here's the part most people miss. It's not just about cutting sugar or fried food. Some fruits calm that fire, and some, even the ones labeled heart healthy, can quietly feed it. So, let's walk through the 5 fruits that help your body soothe and restore, and the 3 that might need a second look. Number 1, blueberries, the cellular cleaners. They're small, familiar. You've probably passed them in the freezer aisle a dozen times, but blueberries hold a secret your body still remembers, especially after 60, when inflammation no longer screams. It whispers. Inside these soft-skinned berries live anthocyanins, plant pigments that don't just give them color, but act like quiet janitors inside your body. They gently clean your blood vessels, lower inflammation markers like CRP, and help remove the molecular dust that slows your joints and clouds your memory. You might not feel the change after one bowl, but over time, the stairs feel a little easier. The names come back a little faster. The fog lifts, just enough to make the day feel clearer. I once spoke with Helen, 72, who used to forget where she put her keys. She added frozen blueberries to her yogurt every morning. Within weeks, she didn't just feel sharper, she felt lighter, like her thoughts weren't dragging behind her anymore. Here's a gentle place to start. Add half a cup of frozen blueberries to your oatmeal, yogurt, or smoothie. No prep, no pills, just a soft signal to your body. Let's clear the fog today. Let's move forward, gently. Because healing isn't always a breakthrough. Sometimes it begins with a berry. 2, pineapple, the joint soother. Some fruits taste like sunshine, but pineapple, it tastes like relief, if you know what's inside. Tucked beneath its golden flesh is bromelain, a natural compound that works like a soft anti-inflammatory. It doesn't numb you, it doesn't mask the pain. It simply tells your immune system, you can lower your guard now. As we age, joints don't just ache because of wear. They ache because of prostaglandins, the messengers of inflammation that never quite stop talking. Bromelain calms those messengers, reducing swelling in knees, hips, hands, without the side effects of pills or the sharp edge of chemicals. I remember a man named Victor, 68. He used to take ibuprofen every morning before his walk. Then he learned about pineapple. Not the canned stuff drowning in syrup, but fresh, ripe slices, chilled in the fridge. He started eating half a cup after his morning routine. Within weeks, the creak in his knees softened. He said it felt like someone had oiled the inside of his body. Not all at once, but enough to notice. And the best part? There were no warnings on the label, just sweetness and softness and stillness where pain used to be. Here's your rhythm. Add a few chunks of fresh pineapple after light movement. Let it meet your joints gently, the way healing should feel at this age. Because sometimes the most powerful relief doesn't come in a capsule. It comes in a bowl from something that grew under the sun. 3, avocado, the velvet blanket for inflammation. Most people don't think of avocado as a fruit. It doesn't crunch, it doesn't sweeten, it doesn't sit in a fruit bowl beside apples and oranges. But when it comes to inflammation, this is the fruit your body whispers for. Avocados are rich in monounsaturated fats, the kind that don't just fill you up. They wrap around irritated tissues and say, it's okay now, you can soften. These fats help lower inflammatory markers like IL-6 and TNF-alpha, which have been linked to arthritis, joint stiffness, even memory loss. And unlike pills, avocado doesn't override your system. It partners with it. Think of inflammation as a frayed nerve, raw, buzzing, overstimulated. Avocado doesn't cut the signal, it wraps around it, like a velvet blanket on a wire that's been sparking too long. I once met Evelyn, 71. She said she avoided avocado for years, thought it was too fatty. But after struggling with morning stiffness and brain fog, Her nutritionist recommended half an avocado a day. She added it to toast, mashed it into hard-boiled eggs, tossed slices onto a spinach salad. Within 2 weeks, she said the difference wasn't dramatic. It was peaceful. Her body felt more cooperative. So, try this. Half an avocado once a day. Not for trend, for tissue, for that quiet kind of healing that doesn't shout. It simply lets you move without resistance. 4. Tart cherries, the joint's lullaby. Some healing happens in silence, not with breakthroughs, not with prescriptions, just with something gentle, taken at the right moment. That's what tart cherries are. Not a headline fruit, not a fad, but a quiet comforter for the parts of you that ache. Even when you've done nothing wrong. Tart cherries are rich in anthocyanins, the same plant pigments that give them their deep red hue. But inside the body, they do more than color. They calm. They lower uric acid, which fuels joint flare-ups, gout, and stiffness. They also reduce post-exercise soreness, making them a favorite among athletes. But for those over 60, they serve a different kind of purpose. They say to your knees, "You've carried enough today." To your hands, "You don't need to clench tonight." I knew a woman named Nancy, 67. She started drinking a small glass of tart cherry juice before bed. After 2 weeks, she said she could fall asleep without adjusting her pillow 5 times to find the angle that made her shoulders stop talking. Try 4 ounces of unsweetened tart cherry juice in the evening, or a small handful of frozen tart cherries with dessert. They're not sweet like candy, but they're sweet in the way relief feels. Unexpected, soft, lasting. Because some fruits don't energize, they ease. 5. Pomegranate, the inner firefighter. You probably recognize it by color. Deep, jewel-like, almost royal. But the real beauty of pomegranate isn't in how it looks. It's in how it listens to the silent fires inside your body. Because after 60, inflammation doesn't shout. It hums beneath the surface. In your joints, your memory, your digestion. Pomegranate doesn't fight back with force. It slides in quietly, carrying compounds like punicalagins and ellagic acid that block inflammatory signals before they become pain, fog, or tension. Think of it like a firefighter, not one rushing into flames, but one walking softly through embers, cooling the places your body forgot were burning. I remember Alan, 74. He never felt inflamed, but always felt heavy after eating. His doctor ruled out big issues, so he tried adding 2 ounces of pomegranate juice with lunch. Not much, just enough. Within weeks, he said his digestion felt less swollen. That's the word he used, not bloated, swollen, and it was gone. Start small, 2 to 4 ounces of pure pomegranate juice with meals, or sprinkle the seeds over plain yogurt or a warm bowl of oats. There's no dramatic moment, just quiet recalibration, like turning down the volume on something you didn't realize was too loud, because inflammation doesn't always arrive like fire. Sometimes it just lingers, until something cools it from the inside. Now, the fruits that may. Quietly add to inflammation number 6. Oranges on an empty stomach. They're bright, they're familiar, and for years you may have believed they're one of the safest ways to start the day. An orange with breakfast, a glass of juice before a walk, a little citrus to wake up the system. But after 60, your system isn't waking up the same way. The acid in oranges, especially when eaten alone, can quietly irritate the lining of your stomach and trigger inflammation in joints, especially in people with a sensitive gut or hidden arthritis. It's not about the vitamin C. That part is still helpful. It's about how your body handles acid when your digestion has slowed. You may have noticed it. A tightness after breakfast, a subtle burn in your chest, a heaviness in your knees before lunch, but never thought to link it to something as healthy as an orange. I remember Dennis, 70. He always had an orange before his pills in the morning, but every afternoon he felt bloated and stiff. Once he switched to kiwi, which gives the same vitamin C but with less acid, he said his gut felt calmer and his energy more even. So, if you love citrus, don't cut it completely. Just time it better. Eat with food, not alone, and stick to 1 small orange per day. Sometimes healing isn't about removing, it's about knowing when your body wants something different than it used to. 7. Watermelon, the sugar trap. It's sweet, it's hydrating. It's the fruit of summer, of childhood picnics and backyard shade. But after 60, your body doesn't just feel the cool, it notices something else, quietly. Watermelon has one of the highest glycemic indexes of any fruit. That means its natural sugars, though unprocessed, enter your bloodstream fast, too fast. And when blood sugar spikes quickly, it sends a ripple through your system. Inflammation flares, energy crashes, and the body feels heavy. Not in pounds, but in effort. You may have noticed it without knowing the cause. Feeling sleepy after fruit, more joint stiffness in the afternoon, a foggy kind of fullness that doesn't come from overeating, but from imbalance. That was the case for Maria, 68. She loved cold watermelon after her morning walk, but within an hour, her energy dipped. Once she paired it with a few almonds or a slice of cheese, the crash stopped, and her digestion felt smoother too. So, if you love watermelon, don't give it up, but treat it like a dessert. Not hydration, limit it to 1 cup, and always pair with a bit of protein or fat to slow the sugar's rush. Because sugar doesn't need to be white or added to cause inflammation. Sometimes it wears a pink rind and arrives with a smile, but your body knows the difference. And now, so do you. 8. Juice blends, especially bottled immunity drinks. They sit in pretty bottles, labeled immune support, clean energy, or gut health, with colors that look like healing, and words that feel like they're on your side. But behind the blend, many of these bottled juices carry something your body over 60 may no longer tolerate: a flood of fructose. Fructose is a natural sugar, but natural doesn't always mean harmless, especially when it's concentrated, especially when it's delivered without fiber, especially when your liver, already slowing with age, has no buffer to soften the load. The result? Inflammation quietly rises. CRP levels increase. You feel tired, even after a healthy drink. Your gut gets bloated and your joints stay puffy. I spoke once with Greg, 72. He drank a bottled green juice every morning, thinking it was replacing breakfast. But by noon, his energy dipped. And the juice? It had 38 grams of sugar, more than a soda, just hidden behind words like pressed, organic, and antioxidant-rich. So, what's the fix? Start with real fruit, whole, with skin, with fiber. If you love juice, dilute it. 1 part juice to 1 part water. And check every label, not just for sugar, but for how fast it might flood a system already asking for slowness. Because not all inflammation comes from what's loud or fried. Sometimes it comes in a glass, bright, friendly, and quietly burning from the inside out. Inflammation after 60 doesn't always scream. It's not always red, swollen, or obvious. Sometimes it shows up as a fog you can't clear, a tiredness sleep won't fix, a knee that creaks louder than it used to. The right fruits don't just nourish you. They speak to your body's immune system, gently, daily, softly saying, "You're safe, you can heal." You don't need a perfect diet, just a smarter one that whispers calm into your cells. Comment, "Calm me down," if you'll try swapping even 1 fruit this week. Maybe from juice, berry, or citrus cherry. A small change, a long ripple. And in the next video, we'll look at 3 healthy snacks that secretly aid your joints, and what to eat instead to keep moving freely after 60. Because movement isn't just muscle, it's about choosing what keeps inflammation quiet. Share it in the comments.